Everybody have a seat. Hurry, 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 hurry. Got something on the fire cooking about to burn. Hurry. Hey, got some seats over here need the filling. Quickly, 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 quickly. Anybody have a quick question you'd like to ask about anything talked about so far this morning? Hurry. Yes, sir. Who's talking? Hold it. No talking now. No talking. Question was, some of these things I had to put away. How big was the church? Well, you put them away at different times. In other words, I quit going to the hospitals when I got so many things to do and things got so big here. I just could not go to the hospitals anymore. I just put them away one at a time. Who had a question up here? All right, real loud. When I was with the policeman, I cried a lot. I just watched what was going on. I wanted to see what was going on, and sometimes pastors are needed there. You'd be surprised how many folks I've won to Christ who were seriously injured in a car wreck before the medical team got there, paramedics got there. Main thing, I just wanted to saturate the neighborhood with myself. I wanted, and I'm a little tired of fundamental Baptist preachers being cowed. We're somebody. I mean, we're ambassadors for Christ. We haven't got to sit back in the corner and have self-pity and say we're not as good as they are. The governor of Indiana came up here to visit one day, and he told the mayor of Hammond, he said, the only man in the world intimidates me is Jack Hyles. And the mayor told me that, and I said, well, he ought to be intimidated. I got a bigger job than he's got. And one of my receptionists, Mrs. O'Brien, been with me now for many, many years. She answered the phone one day, and it was the mayor of Hammond years ago, and mayor said to me, I talked to Jack. She said, we don't have anybody here that answers to that name. He said, oh, yes, you do. He said, the pastor, I want to talk to Jack. She said, Mayor, we have a brother Hyles here, and a pastor Hyles, and a preacher Hyles. We have nobody here that answers to the name of Jack. He said, I want to talk to Jack. I am the mayor of this city. And she said, you're not going to talk to brother Hyles because I am the receptionist of this office. And she said, if you want to talk to brother Hyles, preacher Hyles, pastor Hyles, let me know. He said, okay, Father Hyles, Rabbi Hyles, you name it, I want to talk to him. I happen to fill the most important place on the face of the earth. And I'm not going to run around being cowed. Everywhere I go, I got enemies. I walk in and take over. Hey, man, how you doing? Hey, boy, oh, boy, it's a beautiful day, isn't it? Hey, good night. Woo! I just take over. Now, don't misunderstand me. I don't get loud and try to conquer. But I mean, I'm friendly. Anywhere I go, I try to let them know that there's somebody here. I'm not anybody. I'm poor little old kid that ought to go to hell, but I sit in a mighty important chair. That's why some of you guys ought to go home, reorganize your church, and do things right. Suppose I get on the airplane Monday. I'm not sure where I'm going Monday, but let's suppose I'm going to Atlanta Monday. Suppose I get on the airplane, and we get up 28,000 feet in the air, and the door opens to the cockpit, and a pilot walks out. He's got a pair of loafers on, blue jeans, hair all messed up, needs a shave, and says, anybody here know where we are? I just feel like so many of you could do a better job than I am. Well, then get out and let them up there, man. That's the way you run the church. Or he says, we're not going to fly today because I have testimonies. Let me just say a word of right here. I want to tell you men that didn't have church on Christmas night what I think about you. But I can't tell you what I think about you because my mama's hearing me in heaven. And she taught me not to use the words I'd say. But mild words, be pussyfooter, compromiser, and get out of the pulpit. You say, are you against us having me not preaching on Christmas night? No, I'm against you preaching anymore again at all. Let's talk about Jesus. Every pastor school has its own what word I want? Flavor, insignia. And this year is going to be, Let's get it right. Get the right key. Give us the key. All right. That may not be a good way to start a service, but it dead sure beats your sevenfold amen. In spite of the fact that we think you're pussyfooters, we're glad you're here.
Brother Hyles' father left their home when Brother Hyles was just a young lad, leaving him and his mother in poverty. Often as they would sit down to the kitchen table to eat, at an empty table to eat, and Mrs. Hyles would bow her head and thank the Lord for the food, and young Jack Hyles wondered what food, or the thanksgiving that they sat down and Mother Hyles began to pray and thank the Lord for the bountiful feast that they were about to enjoy, a feast of a single baked potato between them. Feast? Oh yes, they did have a feast, because upon her amen, some kind, thoughtful church members appeared at the door with the Thanksgiving Day baskets, the food baskets, the outreach of the First Baptist Church, and the burden that we bear for this community was planted in the heart of a young Jack Hyles many years ago as he sat there and watched the kindness and the thoughtfulness of church members who lived for others. To sing for us next are Mrs. Jack Hyles, their daughter Cindy, who is Mrs. Jack Skopp, and their granddaughter Teresa Smith, who is the daughter of their firstborn Becky. They're going to sing a song that has meant a lot to Brother Hyles over the years as he has tried to teach us what he experienced as a young man to live for others.
My motto be my motto be. Help me to live for others, that I may live like thee. Lord, help me live. Lord, help me live for others.
When we have a ladies group sing in our church, when they've done very, very well, I like to reward them. Well, I'll see you tomorrow morning, fellas. We're old, but we ain't dead, I'll tell you for sure. Now, somebody's going to spread the word around the country. Every time a trio sings well, Brother Hyles kisses all the women. I don't. That's just my own family. I hug the others. But anyway, I'm really excited about what's going to happen right now. Who knows who makes us? And we do not know in little times and seemingly small decisions exactly the consequences and the results that will come. When I became pastor of Miller Road Baptist Church in Garland, Texas, I was just a young man, 26 years of age. Let's see, 26, just turned 26 years of age. And we had a little handful of people. We had no staff. We had one little building, had 2-by rafters and concrete floor and Arkansas tile walls. That's all we had. We had one room besides that. That was a nursery. I've seen 80 babies in that little 20 by 20 nursery room with one lady. Mrs. Sawyer, I think was her name, if I remember correctly. She was the nursery keeper, and she only had one eye. Now, she had 2 eyes when she went to work in the nursery, I'd be preaching right over here, this building, you'd hear the noise over there, and we didn't have anybody work for us. And for the first year, nearly, I sat in longhand at the altar and wrote letters myself in longhand to all the visitors and all the new members, and I printed the church bulletin. I got me a stencil, the old kind, and you cut it, and then you tap one side, tap the other, then glued it back and put it on the stencil. Hand turned stencil. I typed the church bulletin. I typed the Sunday school lesson. I taught the teachers and officers on Wednesday night. I did everything, secretary, everything. I hired me a secretary that used to work for Dr. Criswell. She's one of these sanctimonious sisters, and she came to work, and the first day I dictated some letters to her, she gave them back to sign. They didn't sound like I dictated them. And I went back in, and I said, this is not what I dictated. You changed the words. Well, she said, you had some mistakes. I said, now on, you type my mistakes, too. She said, I work for Dr. Criswell. I said, I know, but you don't work for Dr. Hyles anymore. You just got fired. She lasted a day or two. And then one of the most important decisions of my life, I hired a little gal named Jo. Jo Mathis is her name. She came to work for me, and little short gal, about that tall, and I hated the term executive. I didn't want to be an executive. I didn't like that word. And she came to work for me, and she saw me doing everything. And she said, preacher, you need to learn how to delegate responsibility. I thought a delegate was a man that was representing somebody at a convention. I know what delegate meant. And she said, and this term, she said, this statement, I'll never forget it. She said, you could be a big preacher someday or a pastor of a big church someday. She said, you can preach well enough to do that. But she said, you'll never pastor a big church until you learn to be an executive and delegate responsibility. And I said, I don't want to be an executive. And she looked up at me and she said, say these words after me 10 times. I am an executive. I looked down at that little runt and said, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive. I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive. Every morning we'd meet in the office, and if I walked in, she'd be at the door. I'd have to look down at her and say, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive, I'm an executive. You see, she'd been a secretary, a private secretary for an insurance executive, and she came to work for me. The things you see this week, all the planning, and you have no idea the planning, no idea the administrating, no idea of all. It's unbelievable. Would never have been possible had it not been for Joe Mathis. She was my first full-time secretary, and she taught me how to delegate responsibility, how to be an administrator, and how to be an executive. I'll owe her a debt the rest of my life. She's here this morning. Where are you, Joe? Would you stand, please? There she is over here. Brother Highfield's going to come and escort you to the platform. Stand right here. She said she hadn't grown any taller either. And step right up to that microphone. Joe, let's see. What year did you come to work for me? Right to the microphone.
1954.
1954. And we had the office most of the time over in a little house there.
We moved into the house.
House. Turn her up, please, would you? And I remember at the front door of that house is where I had to stand, and you ordered me to say 10 times, I'm an executive. Any memories you'd like to share with us?
Oh, I have so many that I don't know where to start. From the day that your staff called me, my husband's had to hear all the things. He's heard them through the years, the things that we did at Miller Road. And there's some funny things. There's some things you don't want me to tell. And
Okay, Joe, that'll take care of it.
I remember the first time he came to my house to visit, but with 2 deacons.
Oh, I don't want you to tell that.
I won't tell that. He'll have to tell that. He had.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Let him tell you.
They had been to visit our church, and I went by to see them the next Thursday night. And if I remember correctly, I started to pray before we left.
Yeah, you kneeled in front of the sofa to pray before you left.
I knelt to pray.
And 2 deacons were on each side.
2 deacons on each side.
Trying to impress us. And
I said, what?
When he was praying, they left laughing down at the yard, and then he called to apologize, but before he got through, while he was praying, he burped, and he said, "Excuse me, Lord."
That's right. I made a big burp and just
kept praying.
I
just
said,
kept praying.
Excuse me, Lord, kept on praying.
The deacons got so tickled. That's what the deacons.
And to this day, when they see me, they cut up about the fact that I burped in the face of God. I hope that someday you can know Him that well.
But the thing that I remember most, or that I benefited the most at Miller Road, was I learned the Word. I learned how to study the Word. He taught us not only the Word, but how to read the Bible. And I've used it ever since. He doesn't know how much those teachings, that 18 months on Wednesday night in the same book, we've studied several books of the Bible, but how far-reaching it's been in my teaching adults. And I always tell them where I got my first real Bible study.
Thank you, Joe. You'll never know what contribution you've made to the lives of people you've never seen before.
Thank you.
And on behalf of Ms. Hyles and all of us, we owe you a debt because I have taught them what you have taught me. And if you'll stand right there, because of you, I'm here today.
joys he hath, had you not humbly crossed my path.
Amen. Mr. Mathis, would you stand, please? Her husband's here. God bless you. We're delighted to have you with us. Let's see, Joe, that's about 40 years ago, I guess, when you went to work. For me, what year was it? 54, 41 years ago. She was 7, I was 5. All right. Who said what? Who said she's older than I? She. From what? What day? Today? 18th of March? So you're older than I. You're older than I am now, aren't you? Okay. Dr. Bob Gray in Jacksonville's birthday is in May, and mine is in September. Every time we pass a decade, I remind him from May to September, he gets it, boy. He gets it. I send him paid-up insurance policies, burial policies, and everything else during that, because he's an old man. And for example, when he turned 60, I was in my 50s still for 3 months, and he was in his 60s, and he found out about it. All right, let's continue to talking about what we're talking about this morning. I ended up saying that I was youth director. Again, may I remind you, we're talking about not what I do now, though some of the things I still do. We're talking about everything I'm giving you is something that I did when I had a smaller church, when I was a younger man. And the next number is, I conducted Vacation Bible School. I conducted Vacation Bible School. You ever get the idea that I worked a little bit when I was young? Try it sometime. You might be surprised to find the sun comes up gradually. Some of you guys get 90 people and you got to have an assistant pastor. I wish you'd stay and you'd leave. It beats me. Well, of course, every preacher needs a golf partner. I conducted Vacation Bible School. To this day, every year, I conduct Vacation Bible School. Every year, I stand on this platform with a couple of thousand kids out there, and we have a time. I start off with the opening of assembly, and I'll say something like this. I'll say, "Good morning, boys and girls. How are you today?" Good morning, boys and girls. How are you today? Wonderful. Boy, I am glad you're here. It makes me just want to wiggle all over. I'm so glad you're here. Boys and girls, my name is Jack Hyles. Can you say that? What is my name? Ready? Isn't that a beautiful name? Jack Hyles. Isn't that pretty, boys and girls? Well, I hate to look at y'all. Isn't that pretty, boys and girls? I'd like to know your name. So when I say 3, I want you to tell me your name like this. I'll say 1, 2, 3, and you say, "My name is Jack Hyles." You got that? Okie dokie. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. My name is Jack. No. Your name is not Jack Hyles. My name is Jack Hyles. Your name is Susie Peabody, or whatever your name is. Like, I'll say 1, 2, 3, my name is Jack Hyles, and you'll say my name is like Susie Peabody. You got that? Huh? Out your heads. I want to hear them rattle. Good. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. My name is Jack. No, your name is not Susie Peabody. You've got a name all your own. What does your mama call you? This is church. Now, I need to know your name. Your name is not Jack Hyles. Your name is not Susie Peabody. You got a name of your own. Like, my name is my name. My name is my name. You got that? You got that? Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. My name is... No, your name is not your name. You got a name of your own. I want to know your name. Now, that's the way we do it. All right. I like to, after I've done that, I'll say, boys and girls, I'm an old man. That made me tired. I got to take a nap. So I want you to be real quiet now while I take a nap, because I got to have a little rest here. I got to take a nap here. And I want y'all to be real quiet now while I take a nap. I can't sleep while you're screaming. You'll be old someday. And when I'm a little boy and you're old, I'm going to keep you awake too while you're old. Now, down the Grange Hall Baptist Church in that very building you'll see at the college. About 47 years ago, I conducted my first vacation Bible school. I haven't missed a year since then. I take off 2 weeks on Monday and Tuesday. Every other week I travel, preach somewhere across the country. I take off Monday and Tuesday during pastor school and Monday and Tuesday during vacation Bible school. And I conduct it. Now, I conduct the opening assembly. In the opening assembly we have tomfoolery, and we have Pledge of Allegiance. I do all of that. And then we sing a few choruses. I lead all of those. And then we go to our classes. We come back and we have the rootinest, tootinest assembly you ever saw in your life. You can't believe. We'll have the devil come out. He bothers us every day. I mean, in his red suit like the devil really dresses all the time, down in hell. So please don't be drinking stuff out here in church. We're in church. We're not in a restaurant. Good night. Your mom ought to taught you better than that. If she didn't, I will. But anyway, we have one year the devil came out and we have four characters. We have Pee-wee. Pee-wee weighs about 300 pounds. And he's 4 years old. You ask him his name, he'll say 4. Ask him how old he is, he'll say Pee-wee. Has a big old sucker he carries all the time around him. He's the kind that would lick it in church also while we're having a meeting. And we have Silly Billy. He's the ugliest boy in all the world. Got buck teeth, eyeballs on springs, and hat like that, and a big nose and big ears. And the idea about that, no matter how big you are, you can come to Bible school. It doesn't matter how ugly you are, you can come to Bible school. That's good news for you, isn't it? But anyway, then we have Fuidini. He's the gospel magician. Never does a magic trick, but he's a gospel magician. And then we have the old timer. He's 117 years old, never missed Bible school yet. He wears a baptistry, white baptistry outfit, and he has a mop over his head and over his face, and he's the old timer. And the devil challenged one time Silly Billy Fuidini to a boxing match. And we put a ring up here, and the devil came out, and I was the referee, and I had on a striped shirt, and they had boxing gloves. We had a big mat up here, and the devil was going to fight the old timer, Fuidini, I guess. And he's going to fight Fuidini. Well, it came out, and then we announced it, It's in this corner, weighing 210 pounds, from Beelzebub, Indiana, the corner of fire and brimstone streets, we have Lucifer. You don't get that, do you? Lucifer. Anyway, so the devil came out in round one, and the devil knocked my man down. Boy, we rushed and gave him some orange juice, and the referee was counting, and the orange juice gave my man some strength. He gets up, and he comes back in to fight the devil, and round two comes, the devil knocks him down again. we get some vitamin tablets and give it to our man while he's on the mat, and that gives him strength to get up, and he gets up and comes back and fights some more. Round 3. My man gets knocked down again. The devil's winning the whole thing. We give our man some honey, and he eats that honey, and he gets strong, comes back. Round 4, he gets knocked down again. And all of a sudden, somebody says, I know what'll do it. And somebody runs down the aisle with a Bible, holding the Bible up, says, this'll do it. And so we give him the Bible. He starts reading the Bible, gets up and knocks the devil out of the devil, wins the fight, because it's the Bible that does it. And we'll sing, resist Satan, he will flee, he cannot defeat you. When you quote the Bible, he will leave. I wrote that myself. And, but I'm trying to say, you'd be surprised what you, Brother Hyles, I don't have the talent. Well, get the talent, ladies, and get it. It's not talent, it's sweat, work, think, stay busy. You, listen, you ought to give your work as much as these guys do that I see on airplanes, reading the Wall Street Journal, checking every little stock that's gone up and down. I took Jack DeCoster, my good friend who's a millionaire, on a trip with me. He has the greatest quality about a friend in the whole world, my best quality about a friend. He's rich. And I took him on a trip with me. You know, I promise you, in 12 hours, in the daytime, Jack DeCoster will call his broker. He'll call, stay out of my preaching. And he'll call his broker at least 15 times a day to see. He'll call 2 times an hour to see if the stocks have gone up or down in the last hour. Now, all you got to do, you listen to me, you lazy rascal, all you got to do is get as interested in your work and the work of God as Jack DeCoster is in the stocks, and you'll do something for God. You say, where do you get all these ideas? I sit down and think while you're shooting the par. Well, he said, I wish I was as smart as you are. You're smarter than I am. You get by without working. The truth is, you don't need any ideas. You need somebody to get a 2x4 and hit your blessed assurance with it. Get up and go to work. Get up and go to work. Some of you young preachers. Some of you young preachers here, I'd be ashamed of myself. Letting an old codger like me preach with more vigor than you do. I kick as high as you do. I hurt more than you hurt when I kick. But I'd be ashamed of myself. It's time you got excited or got out of the ministry. You're a fake. You're a fraud. You're getting your check you don't earn. You don't deserve it. Get busy. Do something big for God. Good night. Next number. Let them have it. I was talking to you. Next number. Oh, by the way, I got to tell you something else about Bible school. When I was a young man, not many prospects, always looking for prospects, always trying to get prospects. I would have a Friday evening commencement. And a big deal out of Bible school graduation. I'd give diplomas. They'd bring their parents and grandparents and brothers and sisters to the big vacation. And by the way, our Bible school commencement was just as planned as our college commencement is at Hyles Anderson College. And I'd give an invitation. And we'd reach these families of these boys and girls. And if we didn't get them saved, at least they got to see that we were nice people. That isn't all. I hadn't thought about this in years. I think I did this at Miller Road, Joe. I always, during Bible school, taught an adult class myself in Bible school. Your moms bring those kids up to the Bible school, and they sit around out in the cars or stand around the church building. Son, take your head off the place. It's not a place to sleep. Sit up straight. You can go to sleep when you go to bed tonight. These ends aren't pillows. And that goes for you deacons too, by the way. But anyway, one thing is, you guys don't think your message is important enough to be heard. People say, well, does it bother you when folks go to sleep? No, sir, it bothers me when folks don't hear what I've worked hard to prepare for them. Sure, it bothers me. I got something to say. If I didn't, I'd get out of the pulpit. If I do, I want to be heard. We had a deacon sitting back here one night, right in the middle of my Wednesday night Bible study. He came down the aisle. I said, "Don't interrupt me. Nobody does that. Nobody does that." He said, I said, "Go back and sit down." He said, I said, "Go back and sit down. This is the most important thing in all the world. I mean, the United Nations is not as important as this. President's cabinet is not as important as this." He went back and sat down. After it was over, I found out that one of the cars, our